Hi, I'm Lucy Edwards, Director of Client Success at VHG Studios. And today we have a guest, which is a very unusual for my interviews, but I thought that what Adam has to offer is just absolutely fabulous and it will fit and suit everybody. Adam Weinberg. And Adam is a coach for meditation and actually focusing on state of mind. So Adam, few words about yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, Lucy. We've been having so much fun putting this together, and so I just want to thank you. And when it comes to meditation, there's so many different ways to do it. I like to joke that there's 1,000 different ways and a million reasons why, but whatever your reason is, I like to make it fun so that you'll stick with it. And I think a lot of people actually get meditation through prayer or through exercise. Is typically where they feel that peaceful, empty mind kind of feeling of that is associated with meditation. And there's actually a lot of power in knowing how to get a hold of oneself, how to get into control, and how to direct oneself into the flow so that everything seems graceful and easy and joyful. And so, if you want to learn to play tennis or you want to learn to play the piano or you want to get better at something, you hire a coach or a teacher. And that's what I do for meditation. That's what I am, is a meditation coach. So if you're curious about meditation, I have a lot of beginner techniques and we'll do a few of those together today. And if you're serious about meditation, I have some intermediate and some advanced things that I call the meditation tool belt. So you'll know what actually each technique does and where to apply it in your life.
Well, for the beginners, let's start with beginners. What the beginners should prepare themselves for? How long does it take, and how much time a day they should put aside, and where to start?
Well, generally speaking, in the beginning, a good meditation practice can be about 5 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And for the techniques that we'll do today, some of them only take about 2.5 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. So it doesn't take long. It's just really about shifting the way that you feel in your body and shifting the way that your brain is operating. It's actually more of a function of brainwave science than anything else. And so a good example of that is actually, and if you'll try this with me, you just inhale with your shoulders up to your ears like this, and then let out a big sigh. Ah. Yeah, let's try that again.
Okay.
Ah. And
So
the
how
more
many
that
of those you should be doing?
Well, it's more about commitment. If you commit to that like a big glass of lemonade, then you're really going to feel it a lot more. So let's try it again, and you'll really, really commit to it. Okay.
Okay.
Ah.
I feel better now. I think I
Yeah.
did commit.
Yeah. And so it's really about like being fully present and being fully in it, and if you really are fully present, then you're going to get a lot more out of it and it'll take less time.
No, that is great. So the beginners, if they put aside, let's say 15 minutes a day, that should really be sufficient for them to understand how it works and get used to it and do it right, and maybe kind of have a slow start, but conquer the factor. So you are part of the meditation process, right?
Well, 12 breaths, I think, is a good check-in.
Okay.
And then 36 breaths takes about 5 minutes. And then 108 breaths can be about 15 minutes. So, depending on your speed, inhaling through the nose and back out through the nose, just counting breaths. You'll find that after about 12 breaths, you'll really kind of know how much anxiety is in the mind and how many other priorities are trying to fight for that space. And then once an individual begins to realize that that's actually happening between every single breath all day long, every single day, it starts to become obvious why meditation is like a natural, biological, human function that is like hygiene. It's like brushing your teeth or flossing. Like it's necessary to stay fresh and to stay alert and focused and um, all the things that come with that, achieving your goals and showing up and being present for your family and for your clients or your company, um, when you realize that all those thoughts that are happening between each and every breath, that just counting from 1 to 12, you'll see that. And when you do, you can start to then increase it to 36 and then to 108, and you can really see like what is actually going on in there and what does this priority list look like. And when you start to see, oh wow, these are the things that are important to me, my mind is trying to get my attention. I took 7 breaths and it told me this and this.
Mhm.
Well, once you start to work with that, then the priority shifts and you yourself become number one, and everything falls into its natural place underneath in support of like, oh, these things, but me first. And when you're first, then it's like even in the airplane they say put your oxygen mask on before helping your child. You have to, you yourself be safe and secure before your cup runneth over for you to fill another's.
No, that is great. And actually, with your exercise for 2.5 minutes, you and I, we did the exercise last week. And the other day, I woke up in the middle of the night and I could not go back to sleep. And I did the exercise, and it did relax me. It just made me
Yeah.
feel lighter, and that was amazing. I was telling my husband, oh my god, I'm ready to fly to sleep. So that is something that I personally experienced, and I'm thankful to you for that exercise. So maybe we should try something like that now, just the shorter
Oh,
version.
well, you're very welcome, and absolutely, what you experienced is the brainwave science. We have this in between phase where right before going to sleep and right after waking up, where our brainwave pattern is slower. And so if you can consciously choose to put yourself into that brainwave pattern through this technique, then yes, of course, you're going to fall asleep, you're going to stay asleep, and you're going to wake up feeling more refreshed. So this technique is actually it's dual use. It's switching from multitasking mode to single focus mode. And so it's really good for focusing. It's really good if you have an overwhelming mountain of paperwork or something you're avoiding and just like putting it off and procrastinating, and you want to really like get to it and get it done. Well, if if you knew that there was a brainwave for that and you could turn it on, and then you'd be more focused and you'd get it done and it'd be done faster because you were focused, right? Wouldn't that be really helpful? And this technique we call square breathing. And if you look it up uh, on Google or otherwise, you'll see that it's actually beginner's meditation for children. So if you have children who are having trouble focusing too, or causing the distraction, they might want to do this with you. They might find it fun as well. And so it's very simple. Just begin by looking around the room. And what you're looking for is a very bright color, whatever the brightest color in your room is that is not a light source, just a color. And once you find that color, and I've got mine, lock eyes with the color and stare at the color for a moment. Just get a good mental picture of that color. And then close your eyes and breathe in to my count: 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Last time. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. So you can gently open your eyes and
Oh, that
look
is,
back at that color
yes.
and see what you notice.
Well, I personally noticed that I am relaxed. I don't have any kind of anxiety, and I can really focus on something else right now. And that is, I
Mm.
think, is also very important. If you need to switch gears, if you need to take a moment and put aside everything you just had on your desk and switch to your next task that is so important to you, um, that is the time to have that exercise.
And something that you might notice is how long that felt like it took, because that was only 10 square breaths, which is in, hold, out, and hold. And we only did that 10 times at 4 seconds per, 2, 3, 4. So it only took about 160 seconds is how long that actually took. But if it felt like a whole lot longer,
Absolutely, yes, it did. It took
yeah.
it felt like it was much longer. No, that is absolutely. I love it. I'm learning something about controlling your emotions, controlling yourself with easy breathing in a way, so I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. I would also like to ask you about setting time aside, just like you said, brushing your teeth or
Yeah.
doing some routine exercises or something that you are doing every morning, making coffee exactly at 7 o'clock in the morning. In my opinion, it would be great to be consistent with putting time aside for that type of exercises as well. Like, what about you? Do you have a schedule?
Well, I have a class schedule, and so that keeps me grounded in a routine. These are classes that I show up for, teachers that I follow to keep me trained and keep me growing. But outside of the class schedule, I also have my personal routine, and it doesn't really matter when during the day that you do it. Whatever works best for you, and this is really what we call resonance. This is about what's resonant for you. It's you might find that early morning is best for you, or in the middle of the day before that 1 o'clock slump at the office might be a good time, and or right before bed can be really powerful as a gap such a welcome needed gap between the last time we look at the phone or the TV and the time we actually go to sleep. So I personally prefer to begin my day with meditation because I find that when I wake up, and you might have this experience as well, which is, have you ever woken up like totally pissed off about something, and it's like the first thought to hit your mind, you're like, that's what you're dealing with right away. I think a lot of people have that issue. And
Absolutely.
so um, when you sit down and do these techniques for 5, 10, 15 minutes in as part of your morning routine, it actually allows your body. There's a biological component to this where your body actually processes the tension and the anxiety of what those thoughts represent in terms of their priority and the the tension, the anxiety that they create in terms of your relationship to them. So um, by doing that first thing, you get that out of the way, and then for the rest of the day, you kind of like, you're like gliding through the day. And I think we all know what it feels like to have like a really good day. And so this kind of, you'll get a feel for like this happening more often, that like more days are like that really good day as a result. It's just, it kind of like goes naturally together.
You kind of like set yourself up for a good day.
Yeah.
And discipline, I think, is also very important, and repetition. So
Yeah.
you mentioned in the very beginning how important it is to get better at square breathing, for example, and
Sure.
repetition will make it perfect. So if you continue doing it every morning for 10, 15 minutes, and maybe at night or once during the day, that would be probably a good exercise to take. That brings me to a question. um, should you do extra exercises? For example, if your day is way too stressful, or something just goes wrong during the day, you are overwhelmed, nothing falls in its place, will meditation help in a situation like that?
It can, of course, because how we interact with the world is really important. How we behave. And so when something occurs, if there's an incident, and the previous kind of way of reacting to it would be something that I think we, as we get older, we go, that's probably not, I shouldn't do that anymore. I shouldn't do that next time. And we all know, and I think they say this all the time with anything. Like if you stub your toe, or if you're, a woman in labor, right? They say breathe. So somebody cuts you off in traffic, like maybe actually breathe might, you've heard it all your life, but maybe actually now is the time to start to start practicing that, because it's about habituation. We're creatures of habit, and we do things we get into routines. So um, when a person finds that um, doing something enough times in a row, it starts to get into the muscle memory. Like it starts to become rote. It starts to become something that's part of your routine, part of your lifestyle. So you know, it's like anything with discipline. If you put enough time into the gym, you're going to see the results in the mirror. But if you give up halfway through, right? We've all been there, I think. So um, with anything that's new in your life, if you really want it to be part of your life, it takes conviction, it takes discipline. And in order to show up for yourself, to really commit that conviction, that discipline, to say, I'm gonna do this until it's something that I just second nature. And before you know it, it is. And then, people say, oh, what's different about you?
Yeah, right. So it worked.
Mhm.
I also have a question for those who already meditate regularly. They are not the beginners. What amount of time should they be spending on meditation?
Well, there are different faculties that we work on in meditation, and some are mental and some are physical. Um, there are techniques for that are medicinal in nature, that are healing in nature, and it's a function of time. The body has to generate um, it has to generate the molecules. So without going too scientific, um, the it's it's kind of like drinking like a glass of wine, you know, like if you have the whole bottle, right, it feels way different than, you know, than just a half a glass. So um, the body needs time to generate enough of the physical substance that's created in the meditation, in the meditative acts. And so the best way I can describe this is, you know, um, eh, when you, if you've ever cried at a sad movie, it's different from crying from pain, right? So you know that there's a difference between this type of crying and that type of crying,
All right.
and what is going on internally in the biochemistry, neurologically in the brain and the biochemistry determines what that feeling that is associated. So, so in the context of a meditator who's been at it for a while, it can be a function of how long it's necessary to achieve a certain result. Some techniques can take 5 to 10. You know, the one that we just did only took 2.5 minutes, but you know, there are other techniques that physically require 55, you know, 45 to 55 minutes,
Oh,
and just don't happen before that time. So, but I always like to joke, you know, with people that are in martial arts, there's a combat side and there's a healing side to martial arts. And in the healing side, there's a particular they call it horse stance or tree pose. These are two different ways of holding the body, and they say the first level of mastery is 20 minutes in that position, holding your arms up for 20 minutes, and the second level of mastery is 4 hours in that position. So if you ever see somebody standing like this, like on the beach or in a park or something, leave them alone. They're meditating.
I that is amazing. 4 hours. Listen,
Yeah.
whatever it takes, right? So my question to you now, what would you recommend to beginners or to someone who used to meditate a lot and now they are putting it aside for whatever reason? There is a suggestion to our audience? If you can just give it to us in two directions, for newcomers and for the experienced ones.
Mm. I think that it's actually a function of what I spoke about earlier, which is resonance. And it's important to find something that you connect with, or a teacher, somebody who's messaging that gives you goosebumps. If you really feel connected to that particular messaging, you'll find it a lot easier to show up for it. And um, something to recognize is that a lot of meditation is, in a way, it's a type of hypnosis. And with hypnosis, it's important to be discerning as to whose messaging that you feel comfortable with, because the guided visualizations and the contemplations that are given in these very susceptible, relaxed states, these we can call them trance like states, um, a person is susceptible to suggestion. And while we do have an internal mechanism that prevents us from doing any harm to ourselves or others, that so there's no reason to be you know, worried about that. But it's more about that some people's messaging may be more empowering for one group of individuals than another, and so you want to find something that is empowering for you,
Mhm.
firstly, and then the second part to that is, once you do find a direction that you feel like this is about uplifting, this is about, you know, reaching your highest potential, about showing up as your best, is about showing up as your best self as often as possible, and to be, you know what it's like when we were talking about the having a really good day. You know when you're also really like in that really good day and how you feel, and if you want to feel like that more often, then the second part of that is really to also be able to go and do it on your own. That's when real meditation starts. Because if you're still using a guided audio, or if you're watching my video or something like this, or attending my class, these are the training wheels. This is the to help you get comfortable with cruising so that you can do it on your own. But once you get the feel for it, and once you know what you're looking for, then it's time to take the training wheels off, and then you go. And when you go and you're going, like, there's just something different about it. You really, it's the difference between riding a bike with training wheels, being taught by, by somebody who cares about you, is teaching you to ride a bike, and then when you are like off on the trail on your own, up and down the hills and coasting on your own. It's when you choose to go and do it on your own, then without the audio, without the music, without the video, without anything, and you just go and you practice the technique that you've learned from memory, there's something that happens inside. There's something that occurs that you can only really, and for the experienced meditators, that it's just hard to describe. It's appreciate it. Yeah, it's hard to describe, but it's like pistachio ice cream. What flavor is that, and how do you describe it? Well, once you've had it, but until you've had it, and that's one of the first really joyful moments on this path is to get there, and that's where I invite you to set your sights as your first milestone on this journey, is to first find a style, find a technique, find a teacher that you resonate with, and then, given enough training and enough time, go and do it on your own and get to that place, and you'll see for yourself, and that's a wonderful place to be. And I'm excited for everybody that still has yet to experience that, because it's really it's transformative.
That is fabulous. And I will have your information at the end of the video, so please make sure to contact and connect with Adam if you are interested, which I don't know how you cannot be interested. It's really cool, and it is very,
thanks, Lucy.
I would say, it's just like you're doing it for yourself. It's not,
yeah.
Well, we do a lot of things for ourselves. We, our education, jogging in the morning, brushing teeth, it's all for ourselves. But I think meditation, it just gives you a different level of your mental state, and how you can actually stretch yourself through the day in a positive mood and positive atmosphere that you build between yourself and yourself. I think that's what really kind of sums it down for me anyway. But yeah, that was absolutely great, Adam, and I hope we'll have another conversation like that again. But for now, I will make sure that I have all your information at the end of the session, with your website and your phone number, your email address, and everything else you all need to connect with Adam. Thank you, everybody.